What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I am coming at you from the Domino Food and Fuel in Clinton, Oklahoma. I-40 exit 66. One of my favorite little truck stops out on this route. It's one of those truck stops that's kind of in the cut. It's about 3/4 of a mile off of the highway. It's generally pretty empty. And if you look at it on Trucker Path, it says there's 40 spots, probably closer to, could probably fit 100 trucks up in here, to be honest with you. And I just like it because it's guaranteed parking. It's pretty quiet. Like right now, I am the only truck here that's occupied. There's about three day cabs here, 2 sleeper trucks, and both of those look unoccupied. So it's really just kind of a quiet little place to be amongst your thoughts. Thought I was going to say, you know what I'm saying, but I caught myself. So anyway, if you're ever, there's plenty of parking around here in this general area, but if you're on I-40, it's late at night, you're worried about parking, this is a place, guaranteed parking. Matter of fact, Landshark Transportation, my former trainee. If you happen to be watching this, we stopped at this truck stop one time on our way out to California. So I get a lot of interesting questions, and one of the questions that somebody had asked was, what do I think is my best attribute in terms of being a truck driver? And I thought about it, and I was trying to think of different things, and it's really not an attribute, it's more of a mindset than it is anything. I'm the mindset that I have is I'm gonna take 100% responsibility for any success, any failure. And I've always had to live life like there was no backup plan, like nobody was gonna come and rescue me. Nobody's going to come by and offer me any money, a place to stay, anything like that. So I'm going to tell a couple stories, okay? First of all, I was 12 years old. My mom had got divorced from my dad like maybe 5-6 years earlier. Maybe a little bit more than that. And married to my stepfather, and anyway, she passes away when I'm 12 years old. And I was comfortable with where I was living, all that kind of stuff. I had a best friend since 1976, which I'm still friends with to this day. And to be perfectly honest with you, my father was kind of in his little grinding mode, trying to work his way up in IBM and all that stuff. So really wasn't spending all that much time with me. So when my mom passed away, I decided to stay with my stepfather, which caused all kinds of, grief at the time. And anyway, soon after this, my stepfather ended up marrying somebody else. So now I'm getting raised by stepfather, stepmother, and who both had their own kids. So I kind of felt like I was a little bit middled out in that situation. Me and my sister were the only ones in the house, but they both had older children. And then one that was my age that kind of lived with us a little bit. But I always never felt like, I never had that like comfort that you would get from having your mom around and all that kind of stuff. So it really wasn't that big of an issue. But one of the turning points in my life was, I remember I was 14 and a half years old, going into my, maybe I was 15. We'll get to that. I think I was under 15. And I was about to go to my first year of high school, and, my stepdad takes me to the mall and gives me like $300, which I could do some damage with these days. Gives me $300 to go buy some school clothes and all that kind of stuff. So back in the day, Izod was big, Polo was big, all this different kind of stuff. And I remember when he gave me the money, he said, I'm going to be back in 2 hours, pick you up, and, go from there. So he comes and picks us up. I don't have any clothes. All I have is the money. And he's like, where's the clothes at? And I said, this isn't enough to really buy any clothes. That's how stupid I was. And this is back in like the 80s, right? So I think it was 83, as a matter of fact. Maybe 84. So he's like, okay, we'll come back around on this tomorrow. So the next day, he says, meet me, or I'm going to come pick you up at such and such time. So comes and picks me up, and we drive by Burger King. And he said, if you want, since you wanted, to spend more money than I was going to give on these clothes, run in there and get a job application. You can start buying your own stuff from now on. So from that day forward, I basically had a job, and not only had a job, but was buying like stuff that normal kids that have jobs don't buy. I was buying my own like laundry detergent, soap. Back in the day, I had a sweet ass Jerry curl, my curl activator. I mean, I was buying all that stuff, and I was kind of independent like that. So really from that day forward, never asked anything else of any of my parents. Really, if you were to, I don't think anybody's ever loaned me any money either. It might have been like $5 if I was at work, and some lady was coming around selling a burrito, and I didn't have $5 on me, and I gave him back the next day. But nobody's ever been there to loan me any money. If I fell on bad times, it was always going to be on me. So I've had that mindset my entire life, and a lot of it stems from that. I also don't have religion to fall back on if something happened. My stepfather was a preacher, and I went to so much damn church in my lifetime. I was just like, I'd just rather go to hell, to be honest with you. I mean, I was in church. I put in more time at church in my life, just in those years, to make up for an entire lifetime of some people. And it was a black church. Black church be lasting too long. You go in there like, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you don't leave that motherfucker until about 2:30 in the afternoon. So I put in my time there. Best investment I ever had, I know I'm kind of rambling on. I think when I was 16 years old, I bought a 1969 Dodge Charger 440 6-pack. And that was the best investment, because at that point, then I could go to church and kind of fake it, have him see me around church, make sure that he saw me, and then just bounce out, So anyway, long story. Never had religion to fall back on, I can't be like, praying and hoping some shit's going to happen. I've never had, I've never been one to blame, politics, or ask for politicians or whatever to bail me out of anything. So I've always kind of lived on this like island as far as that's concerned. And, when it comes to this business, and probably even more so in my last business, this business doesn't take the same mental, can't explain it. It doesn't take the same mental focus that you need. And I'm just saying from a life perspective is this, because while this is the same in terms of you eat what you kill, you're basically getting hand fed out here. And even if you're kind of, and I can't speak on owner operators, but one thing I will say is that I'm never going to be complaining about no stuff. If the market, I think, along with that, I've always had those attributes I was talking about earlier, but being in the mortgage business even strengthened that a little bit more. The mortgage business is going through a lot worse of a downturn than the trucking industry. And I talk to these people constantly, and one thing I never hear: we need regulations, we need this, the government needs this. You know what? They just sucking it up and dealing with it. And some of them are gonna make it, and some of them aren't, and gonna go do something else and maybe come back, or whatever the situation is. But I have not heard one person bitching about the anything. And that, just the fact, and it doesn't, and people are gonna say, an owner operator. You know what? If I was an owner operator, you know what? I would have I have myself set up enough to where I would be one of those people that could just say, you know what? I'm gonna sit it out, wait for the market to come back around, or whatever, or just do what makes sense. But I'm not gonna get even when I went through all the financial problems I had back in the days, never blamed anything, just dealt with it and did what I had to do to get out of it. Same thing here. And I know I'm kind of all over the board on this, but I kind of thought about this a while back, a few days ago, and even if I was one to get stressed out about it and say, oh, the business is bad, and this and that, first of all, from a leadership position, whether that's in my household or, I'm not nobody's boss, but, I do have a driver that drives one of my trucks. How am I going to look complaining about some stuff? First of all, now all of a sudden, you have people that start getting concerned about stuff. Now my wife is worried about, where are we at financially? Then I might have a driver being like, well, how am I gonna, do I gotta worry about, him turning in trucks and leaving or doing whatever? Just acting that way can shake the foundation of the people that rely on you. So I wouldn't do it from that standpoint. So I think that, kind of to circle back around, the attributes I have, I wouldn't necessarily call them attributes. They're mindsets. Mindset that nobody's going to be there to rescue me. I'm going to get through what I'm going to get through. And, what did I say? Nobody's going to help me. I'm going to get through what I got to get through. And I'm not asking the Lord. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are here that are religious, and trust me, if anybody wants to go down that route, like I said, I spent all kinds of time in church, and we could debate all that, and some of the anyway, I'm not expecting to get rescued, whether that's on bended knee or at the ballot box or whatever, because when things are going good, notice, and I've said this before, if things are going good, I'm going to take 100% of the credit, because when things go bad, I'm going to take 100% of the blame. And, one of the things I said to my stepdad, he just passed away in 2015. We kind of got to a point where I was joking around with him, just trying to get him to laugh a little bit. And I forgot what it was about, but I said, he's asking me when was last time I went to church, and I just laughed, you know what I'm saying? Sorry to say, you know what I'm saying? But I just laughed, and I said, I have a problem with the situation where if I do something really good, or life is going really good for me, I have to thank the Lord. But then when shit's going bad, I can't blame him for it. So, it was kind of a touching moment, because he was on his last few days, and he kind of had he was laughing, but he just couldn't summon up all the strength to get a good laugh out. He's kind of so anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Everybody's gonna get through this. It's just one thing. Well, and I'm not. why am I even saying getting through this? Me and Myra just had some of the best weeks we've had. It's not about getting through it. And I'm saying this because maybe some of the signs are there that we are going to go through a down market. Some people are already dealing with the down market. But if we go through a down market, what's one thing I've been preaching since the very beginning? People are calling me stupid. Best time to get in is in a down market. Base everything a down market. You'll be good to go. But down markets build better character. Had I not gone through a down market and basically had everything blown up, I probably would not have the same relationship I have with cash, credit, any of that kind of stuff. And by cash, I just mean assets in general. I know a lot of owner-operators watch this channel for some reason. And I think most of them that I see on here, I think I'm a bit older than and have actually gone through more life things than a lot of them. But you don't learn from the success. That's number one. I am so much further ahead than had I not got blown up. Let's say that you are in a situation where things are bad for you or whatever. Once you make it out the other end of this, I guarantee your business strategy or life strategy in general is going to be different than what it is now. So look at the positives in this. I know I kind of rambled on. Hopefully you kind of can understand what I was trying to convey, because I feel like I kind of did a decent job in it, but I feel like I might have been lacking a little bit. But we're at 17 minutes right now, so I'm sure I at least got 15-20 seconds of gems in there somewhere. So with what I got going on with this load right here, I don't have to deliver it until Saturday. So today is Thursday. Saturday at 0100. When I first looked at that, I thought it was, in my mind, 0100 went off as 1300. I thought I had time on this load, and I looked down, I don't got barely any time on the load to do what I wanted to do. And so I might, now I'm bitching to myself for all them miles. I was driving 60 miles an hour yesterday, and how much time I could have saved on my clock. So if I can run it in tomorrow, I have about 30 minutes to spare. If I could run it in tomorrow, run out my clock, and then hit the truck stop for a 10-hour break, that would be perfect, because I'd be getting there right around 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere in there, depending on what time I decide to leave tomorrow. That would be perfect. Otherwise, I will end up posting up kind of close to there. Then I'd have to wait for some hours to come back at midnight, and then head in there, drop the load at like 0100, have a full clock, but nowhere to park that late at night. So those are kind of I'm sure I can find somewhere in the cut. I mean, it is Jonesboro, Arkansas. I think last time I drove through there, I saw like an empty warehouse or something out there I could probably, roll up in. But that's about it. I know this is a bit of a longer video. Hopefully it answered the question. I do appreciate you stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. As always, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.